All right, and we're back in Game 3 of Versailles versus InsaneAI here at Alberta Beatdown, being held at OverKlocked Gaming in Edmonton, Alberta, being ran by Edmonton gamers. We're going to be here on one of the very best maps in the history of anything forever. It's MLG iCCup Test Bug, map made by Superman of the iCCup map making team. We're going to see Versailles spawning in the jungle portion here at the 10:30 position as the green Protoss. She just managed to take that last game with a very nicely executed 4-gate. InsaneAI going to be over here in space, down at the bottom position of Test Bug. He's going to be throwing down the supply depot in a kind of interesting position once again. And Versailles going to immediately scout after throwing down that very first pylon.
Actually curious to see again what InsaneAI is going to plan this game. The first game he did a pretty wicked battlecruiser build. The second game he did a Thor rush, but he only had 1 Marine for defense. So, you know, maybe this game we'll see 2 or 3 Marines for defense. Anything's possible.
Yeah, you know, a man can dream. If you really dig deep down and give it all that you got, maybe you can squeeze out a few more Marines. Or maybe he'll just pick something different entirely and just make like 500 barracks and be like, I'm Mech Marine. So they're going to scout each other. Probe and SCV. Going for the headbutt there, or the chest pound. If you're an SCV, I guess. See your face is a little bit farther back. And the probe, going to find the base of InsaneAI pretty quickly here. What I really want to see out of Versailles is a gas steal.
I'd like to see a DQ
I think she's gotten
rush.
a gas stolen quite a few times. Again, Versailles is Jacqueline Geller, a.k.a. at Jacqueline SG from Twitter, writer for the GeForce Pro AM tournament. And some complexity events and whatnot and so on and such and so forth and the such and the like and so ons and etc. And she's just going to scout him and hide the probe. Got these LOS blockers here to prevent units from blinking over or from pylons to warp in. But that's going to make it a little trickier for InsaneAI to actually look down, because he's going to have to position a unit down here for him to actually be able to see anything.
InsaneAI is getting a tech lab on that barrack, so I'm curious to see if he's going to go for a quick concussive shell, get a couple marauders, and apply some pressure on Versailles here.
What? And my mouse is back. These computers are funny and like to not cooperate with my mouse, which is why you heard all kinds of funny buttons there. So, InsaneAI trying to keep this SCV alive for as much as possible by spamming pentagons, not circles, in the base of Versailles. So again, going to be going for a pretty standard build, like very similar to what she did in Game 1. Now, I really sincerely hope that we don't see her make Immortals against battlecruisers, because that just doesn't work.
I sincerely wish InsaneAI wouldn't stop making SCVs. There we go. He does build 2 more and drop another mule.
And he's got 2 more barracks on the way. Stim pack is being researched. I think we're going to see some 1-base Terran.
Actually surprised he didn't get concussive shell before the stim pack, but maybe he is going for some heavy stim timing here. Does throw down 2 more supply depots. And we have Versailles making 4 gateways again, so we're probably going to be seeing another 4 warp gate attack, because it did work out quite well in that last game.
Yeah, and she does have this probe position down here at the bottom again, which is going to make it a little bit easier for her to sneak that pylon down. It's in a very inconspicuous spot, especially since InsaneAI, according to what we read in the pregame, has never actually seen this map before. And what are you doing? She's going to throw this down right here. I'm not 100% sure if she actually saw those units shooting down the destructible debris. Of course, there are debris blocking the Zelnaga towers on iCCup Test Bug here, and a few more Marauders going to come down. Will they see the probe? And the pylon's going to get spotted, but the 4-gate is already online, and there are going to be units making their way across. She's going to desperately try to warp in a few stalkers here. If these stalkers actually finish, they're going to be in a little bit of trouble here. Their buddies are a little bit far away. She's going to be able to take down a few units here, but both those stalkers are going to get cleaned up. 4 more are going to join in. There might just be a bit too much stuff. You're just going to have to wait for that Zealot to show up as well. But again, with no forward pylon, it's going to be pretty hard for her to do very much damage with this attack. So we can see her falling back right now. Got 680 minerals in the bank. Might just go for a quick expansion here.
I'm all surprised Versailles does not have a second gas yet, because she will not be able to keep up stalker production for very long. But as InsaneAI does have quite a few Marauders, Zealots would prove to be a bit more useful.
Yeah, and more units are making their way across the map. It definitely wouldn't hurt Versailles to throw another probe out there and maybe try to get a forward pile on a little bit farther back. And as I say that, there it is. Good stuff. She's going to be able to reinforce much quicker to keep the pressure on, but the longer she waits, the better of a defensive position InsaneAI is going to be in. As you can see the bunker going down. This is going to get canceled as Versailles goes in for another push. That Stalker is going to go down very quickly, and InsaneAI actually wastes a stim. It'll be 10 less hit points for his entire army to work with here. And now that this pylon is finished, Versailles could be working in a few more Zealots, and she is actually going to go for a Sentry and 3 more Zealots. There we go. Now she's got a single force field to work with. A few more units coming out for InsaneAI, and all InsaneAI really has to do is pump out a few more forces, stim, and actually commit to an attack, and he should be able to clean this up relatively easily. But the longer he waits, the bigger of an army Versailles is going to have to fight him with, and that's going to be more and more problematic for InsaneAI. As we can see, the supply counts right now heavily in favor of Versailles. Versailles right now trying to push in here. Zealots in the front is exactly what she needs to be doing. InsaneAI desperately trying to use that concussive shell to buy himself as much time as he can, but every time he's stimmed, his army's going to get a little bit weaker. Single force field's going to go down. Not really going to help Versailles out right now, but these units getting pushed back in the corner, and you can see all of these units are now, or almost all these units are in the orange or the red. Just a few of them still in the yellow, and Versailles going to be able to clean this up pretty easily here, as that last stim there is just about to run out. InsaneAI is in a lot of trouble. Really, he's going to need to get more than one bunker down. On the field, Versailles going to be warping in more Zealots, so she's got a few more meat shields in the front of her army. And this next attack could be fatal if InsaneAI doesn't get a few more bunkers or isn't able to complete this one, as Versailles is going to hit the worst possible timing for InsaneAI. And there's just not enough stuff here. Versailles looks like she's going to be able to take this game. And InsaneAI desperately trying to fall back right now. InsaneAI still has all these poor SUVs, poor mules. Down here at the bottom. He's going to lift. The SUV is going to try to hightail it. Where's that force field to catch them? No. And, well, will InsaneAI be able to hold the ramp? Hold the lead. Solar commands dangerously low. Might burn down. Versailles is actually going to fall back right now. Not 100% sure what's going on up at the top of that high ground. InsaneAI thinking that he's got an advantage when he sees Versailles fall back. Is just going to try and stim, and they're taking a few more units. I think he managed to pick off a single stalker or something. But again, the supply counts, Versailles is pretty far ahead. But now with medevacs being added to his army composition, InsaneAI might actually be okay.
Yeah, Versailles actually did finally start to get the second gas up and running there, so she'll be able to make more sentries, as that one sentry did not prove very useful, especially with that one force field. I would have much rather have seen a Guardian Shield to at least negate the marine damage. Although there were not that many, it still would have proved much more useful than that random force field. Yeah,
and there are just way too many Zealots here doing insane amounts of damage. Not a lot of room for InsaneAI to kite these Zealots around, and there are just so many stalkers here. Now this bunker here, InsaneAI is going to be in a much better position. Might need to keep some SCVs very close by so that he can put them on that repair. But at the very least, Versailles has forced InsaneAI into the corner, keeping him on one base. He hasn't even landed this orbital command. As you can see, it's up to 97 energy. He's going to have 2 mules by the time it lands. Really could use that to pump out more SCVs. But as you can see, InsaneAI is just doing nothing but pumping out that triple M. Meanwhile, the Nexus over here in the base of, or in the natural expansion of Versailles, is at about 75%, and she's going to have a pretty strong economy when you combine that with the fact that she's got a contain going on. She could easily take a third base and start to build what could be an insurmountable advantage for InsaneAI.
Yeah, she is also getting a forge for some +1, I'd assume. And yes, I would love to see some more expansions and get further along that tech tree into some maybe Blink or some Storm and some Archons there. Oh, we do have InsaneAI actually moving out of his base now, but he'll be met with his army from Versailles.
Yeah, and there's just way too many stalkers here. Really just can't keep up with this. Accidentally attack Lix's bunker. The force field comes down just a few seconds too late. And InsaneAI is going to be able to fall back into his base. And you can see the supply counts starting to even out the longer that InsaneAI is able to just keep up this straight production while Versailles is focused on bolstering her economy and her tech. And as I say tech, I see that there are no upgrades or no tech going down. There's the level 1. not level 1 finishes, it's InsaneAI is going to be even more trouble than he is in right now. Needs to call a few more mules. You can see his main base is just about mined out as well. There's already only 6 mineral patches left. Because of course those mules make short work of mineral patches. Kind of like these stalkers might make of this army up here on the high ground.
If he wanted to, he could actually lift up that orbital and fly it to the left-hand middle.
And you know, at this point in the game, considering the army sizes, this is practically a doom drop for coming out of InsaneAI right now. So he's got the majority of his army in these 2 medevacs. Versailles has no idea. We could see a base trade.
That would be definitely an interesting watch. Also, Versailles does have almost max energy on both Nexus. One is at 100. The game probably could have been finished a while ago if she kept chronoing her gateways to get units out.
Yeah, and the Forge chrono boosting out that level 1 weapons upgrade, and we can see InsaneAI is going to go straight for the main base here, and Versailles is actually pulling her army back home. I think she might have seen that medevac, those medevacs fly by. No warp-ins here quite yet. And what is InsaneAI going to be able to take out? It's going to stim and go straight for the Nexus, or the probes, it looks like. Desperately trying to warp in as many stalkers as she possibly can. They're going to be met by a ton of Marauders. They're going to go down very quickly. Probes desperately trying to get us around. They will not be able to do that. All the probes in the main base of Versailles are going to go down very quickly. InsaneAI now pulling quite far ahead. The supply counts 89 to 58. The army of Versailles is finally back home. He's just going to pick those units up and hightail it out of there after dealing a pretty hefty amount of damage. If you take a look at the worker count, Versailles has been on 2 bases for a reasonable amount of time now, only at 20 probes. And that's kind of going to reset the economy, and we can see InsaneAI now has the opportunity to take his natural expansion once again, move his army out, and is just feeling a lot more comfortable than he was 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, and Blink was actually pretty close to finishing when she was chasing away those medevacs. So if she was paying attention and chronoing that Blink out, she might have been able to snipe off those 2 medevacs. I also really wish InsaneAI would have tried for the Nexus, because I'm pretty sure with the size of the army he had, he would have been able to take it out fairly easily.
Yeah, so looks like these medevacs are just going to fall back home. Siege mode is complete, and InsaneAI's army is getting more and more scary by the minute. Really going to have to make use of some of these tech paths that Versailles has access to. These Blink Stalkers might not be enough to deal with the triple M threat with some siege tanks to back them up. And might want to get some of these, or at least one of these medevacs repaired as it's sitting there with about 1 hit worth of life left, maybe 2. If these Stalkers manage to get in range, and of course with Blink, they're going to be able to do that pretty easily. And now these units are back home, so we're going to see InsaneAI be able to consolidate all of his forces. Might go for one final attack, and he accidentally sends the SCV into the medevac rather than R-clicking it.
InsaneAI does have quite a bigger army. If he attacked right now, I think it would be lights out for Versailles, as she does only have nothing but Stalkers, and those Marauders plus those 2 siege tanks would do quite a lot of damage and make short work of that Stalker force. And we do have +1 armor upgrade here, almost done for Versailles. Still only 4 gateways though, and 4 Stalkers idle in the main there.
Yeah, so InsaneAI is now taking the central Zelnaga tower here. You can see this gives him a pretty significant amount of vision. Doesn't quite allow him to see all of this choke here, but he's got a pretty good read on any movement going around in the center of the map, especially if Versailles tries to go through this choked area as well. Now we can see InsaneAI is going to be moving around, taking down these destructible rocks so that you can go for a gold expansion. He sets up a planetary fortress here. And then he can essentially rally his forces to this point and fall back to the planetary fortress if he's feeling a little bit uncomfortable with the way an engagement's going. Now we can see Versailles is going to be adding on a Twilight Council. Maybe she's going to try to get a few High Templar out to throw down some of those Psystorms and deal with this bio threat. But again, with these siege tanks here, it's going to be pretty hard for her to be able to actually do that, just because of the insane amounts of damage are going to be dishing out at a very high rate. The Templar Archives is complete. Doesn't quite have enough money to start Storm yet. She warps in a few sentries and Stalkers. Will we see Storm? Storm? Level 2 weapons.
I'd actually love to see InsaneAI scan the front there, but he's been waiting so long that Versailles is almost caught up in the army count, so he'll have a bit of a tougher time killing it. He's just going for all the destructible rocks because I guess he hates Earth or something.
Yeah, maybe he's one of the arch nemesis of Captain Planet or something like that. Joke was just not good. So first Psy Templar is warped in. Psy Storm is on the way, is nearing the 50% mark. But Versailles has absolutely no idea that InsaneAI is parked outside of her base on the Zelnaga Tower. This map, these rocks over here in the natural expansion actually show the exact vision radius of this Zelnaga Tower. And, well, that does mean that half of our army right now is completely exposed, and InsaneAI knows exactly what's going on, aside from the fact that there was a High Templar a little bit farther back. I know it's 75 energy, but it's going to take more than one storm to deal with this.
And I'm pretty sure since InsaneAI does see that half of the army, he is just going to stand put and just not budge from that position. But we do have Versailles kind of moving back and forth with her army. But
yeah, she
everything
caught
has
whiff
been
of the fact that those units are out there, because you see that she knows that the destructible debris, or the rocks here, I guess, are actually gone. And just trying to buy herself enough time to get 75 energy in all these siege tanks, or all of these High Templar siege tanks repositioning. And now Versailles is going to be in a lot of trouble. She's just going to go for it. And the Marines not quite being able to get in there. One Psy Storm, two Psy Storms, three, four Psy Storms are going to go down. InsaneAI falling back. Pretty good storm dodges here. Siege tank still doing insane amounts of damage. Really need some more of these Templar into Archons as the Stalkers are melting very quickly thanks to the siege tanks, Marauders, and Marines. And Versailles' army is just not strong enough to deal with this. And InsaneAI is going to be making what could be the final push here. Force Storm is not going to be able to quite take down the remainder of these units. And behind this bio, there's still 4 siege tanks. Probe's going to try to come off the line. They're going to surround one poor Marauder, but the medevacs are healing up. The Marauder finally gets taken out thanks to some of the splash damage from those siege tanks. Desperate attempt to warp in a few more
and
Stalkers.
GG, they're called by Versailles. 2-1 for InsaneAI. I definitely did not see Versailles coming back from that attack, as she only had 4 warp gates that entire game.
Yeah, really needs to advance into a different tech path once you get that natural expansion up and running, or at least go for some 6 deep pressure. Can't really let the Terran just get 6 siege tanks out like that and sit outside of your main base. So that is going to be 2-1 for InsaneAI. And I think Versailles is knocked out of the tournament. And that's going to be all for this match. Stay tuned for more.